my movie collection has changed and evolved over the last 12 months. So I thought I'd just do a little chronicle video of how my collection has changed. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go through how my collection has changed over the last year or so. This just means like things I've added to the collection, labels I've started to collect, and just highlights that I've picked up over the last 12 months that I want to just shine some light on, because I feel like there might be something here that you guys might want to track down yourself and pick up. So let's get into it. So the big thing this year for me was I went region free for the first time. Now with region free, that means I can play things from all over the world and not worry about region locking. Region locking is kind of become a bugbear within the community if you haven't gone region free. So if you're stuck in the UK like I am, we are region B on Blu-rays and region 2 on DVDs. It can be really frustrating when something comes out in America that is region A and you just can't play it over here. You want it for so long and you can't get it over here, and it just gets really infuriating from that perspective. My example of this is the Godzilla Blu-rays that came out in America, region A locked. When I went region free, I can happily add these to my collection. There's a bunch of North American Blu-rays for Godzilla, so that is definitely something that I absolutely added to the collection. Region 3 really opened the doors for collecting for me, and I went a bit mental, and that will segue into my first kind of section of this video. I started collecting Shout Factory / Scream Factory Blu-ray titles, and the 4Ks as well, of course. I really like the Friday the 13th Blu-ray set they put out. It's an old set, but going region 3 really allowed me to just indulge in that big time. And of course, we can't forget the Critters collection, because I'm a massive Critters guy, and that had to basically immediately go into the collection. So here are some highlights from Scream Factory / Shout Factory. The Blu-ray of The Exorcist 3, the Blu-ray of Dawn of the Dead 2004 remake, the 4K of Alligator, which I think is just an amazing movie. I do recommend Alligator, it's fantastic. The 4K of The Funhouse, a 80s horror that I've not seen, but this is only 20 quid on Amazon, so I was really happy to get this cheap with the slipcover. Of course, the 4K of Evil Dead 2013, one of my favourite horror films of all time, not just my favourite in the Evil Dead franchise. The 4K of Army of Darkness, one of the best value propositions for a physical release ever. 4 discs, and it was only like $35. It is just such a great value proposition. Next up, I want to talk about another label that I kind of slowly started to add to the collection this year. Never been a big fan of them, but that will be 101 Films. Let's look at some highlights that I've picked up. We're going to have a look at some 101 titles that I added to the collection. The awesome box set for Ghost Watch that came out. I've still got this sealed. I've not actually watched it yet, but it's such a wonderfully, beautifully packaged set. We've got a film that I've not watched yet called The Brain. Now, I saw this on a Watch Mojo obscure creature feature list, and it made me want to pick it up. I didn't realise that 101 Films Black Label were putting it out, so I was glad to grab that. We've got a film called 51st State. Loved this movie. I thought it was just loads of fun. British as all hell, and Samuel L. Jackson is great. This is a wonderful kind of like gangster movie with a bit of a twist to it, which I really enjoyed. Uncle Peggerhead. I haven't seen this yet, but I picked it up. It was in the summer sales at HMV. It was, I think it was like £6. Really happy for them, for 101 to release this, Crystal Lake Memories, a just in-depth, wonderful documentary. It's like 8 hours long, and it's worth every minute. Is just so good. If you want a really deep dive into the Friday the 13th franchise and go into the production of every movie, this is an essential. Next up for this video, I'm going to be talking about just me going in hard on 4K releases this year. I've just got a little highlight reel here of just some great titles on 4K that I think look spectacular as well. So yeah, 4K just been a big part of my collection this year. I think I really truly kind of started getting into 4K at the end of 2021, but in 2022 I really went ham on it. So in 2023, you know, current year, it's just going to get even more crazier. But yeah, let's have a look of some of the highlights from my 4K collecting over the last 12 months. Let's go have a look at some 4K highlights from the collection. Evil Dead 2 on 4K. Now, I've kind of altered this. I had a custom slipcover made for it, custom sleeve made for it as well. So that's Evil Dead. It looks fantastic on 4K, Evil Dead 2. We've got the Cine edition of Evil Dead on 4K. Again, this is a remarkable 4K release. Looks fantastic. Jaws on 4K. I love this. This movie is one of the best 4Ks out there in my opinion. It looks spectacular. This movie is one of the best of all time. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is the HMV exclusive slipcover. I found it in CX. It's just a wonderful slipcover. I love this movie as well. This movie is just wonderful. Probably the best video game movie ever made. These are some highlights that not necessarily got last year, but just highlights from my 4K collection in general. The Thing, one of the best 4Ks. It looks incredible. Don't let the naysayers put you off. This film looks wonderful on 4K. Another movie that looks wonderful on 4K, that's Malignant. I knew this film was going to look great on 4K. We didn't get a 4K for a while, but really happy for them to actually put one out. It's very bare bones 4K. You get an amazing transfer on it, but in terms of features, it's very bare bones. I did get a custom slipcover made for it because I absolutely adore this movie. It's one of my favourite horrors of all time. There is a label that people tend to forget. I kind of forget that it's about, but I started adding titles to it in my collection, and that would be Eureka. I think Eureka have got a very kind of unique selling point with their Blu-rays. They go for more, you know, master of cinema, more of the classic stuff, and I've really kind of started to add more titles to my collection from that label. And let's have a look at some of those highlights there. For the Eureka label over the last year, Shogun Assassin, I really enjoyed this. It's like an edited version of the first two Lone Wolf and Cub movies, and I thought it was just a blast to watch. Really enjoyed that. Really cool steelbook as well. Night of the Creeps, one of my favourite 80s movies. I thought it was just an absolute blast to watch. Tom Atkins in this is just on point as this like cool cat kind of police officer detective guy. This kind of gives you kind of almost a zombie film scenario, but kind of has its own twist to it, and I thought it was just unbelievably entertaining. Sleepwalkers, this is a Stephen King movie and strictly written for to be a movie, and it's absolutely batshit insane, but I kind of had a good time with it. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't even know where to begin and how to describe this movie, but it's absolutely bonkers, and I'm really happy to add it to my Eureka collection. And finally, I picked up the mutated bear attack movie Prophecy. Now, I've not seen this yet. This is a fairly recent pickup for the Eureka collection, but I've heard that it kind of like lost its way in production, and it's not actually that good, but we'll see what I think about it. Next up, I want to talk about what I would consider to be one of the best labels of 2022, one of the labels that has surprised me the most over the last 12 months with really concerns adding titles to my collection, and that would of course be 88 Films. 88 Films, I just feel they know what they're doing, and they exactly know what kind of titles will tickle my pickle and make me want to pick it up. If, you know, going from their box sets they put out recently, like the Species box set was fantastic, and of course one of the best releases of the year in my opinion, their Cannibal Holocaust 4K, which I think is just a wonderfully presented, wonderfully packaged release that I just love. The movie I'm a bit, you know, mixed on, but I think when it concerns giving value to the customer, to the collector, they have fucking smashed it, and it's so good. Here are some of the highlights from 88 Films that I've picked up over the last 12 months. The One, this is a really nice steelbook edition of The One. This was reduced from like 30 to 15 quid on the 88 Films website a little while, maybe in the summer, I think, 2022. Me and Sophie watched this, and I had a fucking blast with it. I thought it was fucking loads of fun. Really fun. The CG holds up pretty much. I thought it was going to be really janky and shit, but the CG actually looks decent. The transfer is incredible. One of the best Blu-ray transfers of the year, 2022 in my opinion. It looks phenomenal. So if you want a really good, crazy sci-fi kung fu action movie with Jet Li, that still holds up to the day in my opinion. The only thing that lets it down is the music. It kind of dates it, but it's got an amazing Blu-ray transfer. It looks fantastic. The first ever 4K from 88 Films called Drive. I got a lot of nostalgia for this movie from when I was like a teenager. I've not actually checked this out yet on 4K, but I'm looking forward to finding when I actually feel like I want to watch it, get in the mood for it. But yeah, that's Drive. It's their first 4K, and from what I've heard, it's a really successful 4K, transfer, and they did a really good job on it. I love the slipcover. It's got a nice kind of 80s sheen to it. Galaxy of Terror. I've heard this film is a really fun kind of alien rip-off, which I'm looking forward to checking out. My friend Fraser tells me that there's this horrendous bit with a giant maggot, which sounds like it's going to be nightmare fuel. But Galaxy of Terror, I am liking when AA Films put out these releases with these nice slip boxes. I think they just add that premium flair to these releases. Just really, really nice. I also got the AA Films release of Delirium. Again, I've not seen this movie, but this was on 2 for 15 in HMV, so I just thought I'd grab it. And I grabbed it alongside this next movie, Night of the Demon. Both Delirium and Night of the Demon were two video nasties that I've never heard of before, but because they're video nasties, I can imagine me actually really enjoying them for what they are. Again, it's got some really cool reversible art. The final AA Films release that I want to just bring light to, because I think it is their best, especially from 2022, Cannibal Holocaust. The whole idea that this film got a 4K to begin with is unbelievable. It is obviously probably the most famous video nasty to ever come out. It is absolutely notorious, but I just think this is a wonderful 4K release. It's well packaged, just beautiful. The artwork is amazing. The newly commissioned art is fantastic. I think it's one of the best releases AA Films have ever done, in my opinion. A label that I never really cared for at all, really. Never cared for whatsoever. But going region 3 has really opened the doors for this label, and especially the North American exclusives for this label in particular. And that label is the Criterion Collection. Now, I've always considered Criterion Collection to put out movies that are really not for me, really kind of like super classic stuff or super obscure art house stuff that I really have no intentions to watch. Like it's just not my taste in movies. But they always put out some oddities that I really am excited to pick up. And in North America, they put out a double box set that I was super excited about. It was the Yojimbo and Shanjuro box set. I don't know how old the box set is. It's been out for a while, I think. But I knew I had to pick it up, and it was just 100% for me. Like, Yojimbo is one of my favourite films of all time. It's just a masterpiece, in my opinion. If you've not seen Yojimbo, go and check it out, guys. It's amazing. But I had to pick that up. When they had their 2 for 20 sale, I'm always just have a little browse to see if anything that grabs my attention. So there are titles there on Criterion Collection that I really want to pick up. And of course, there's other stuff from North America that is exclusive to North America on the Criterion Collection that I still want to get. They have quite a lot of the Akira Kurosawa movies on Criterion Collection that I want to pick up. I've got a little modest collection, nothing amazing, but that's about it really. Like I said, I've got the Yojimbo Sanjuro box set. Really happy to get this. If I didn't go region 3, I wouldn't have sought after this set. I knew it was out, but I didn't go for it because I wasn't region 3. I do love Yojimbo. It's one of my favourite movies of all time. It is a masterpiece in my opinion. Toshiro Mifune is one of the greatest actors to ever live. I just think he's unbelievably great in both of these movies. Shanjuro being great as well. I don't think it's as good as Yojimbo in my opinion. But yeah, really happy to get the Yojimbo Sanjuro box set. I recently got really into wanting to get this over the last year because I watched the film Shogun Assassin, which is like a kind of edited, chopped up version of the first 2 movies from the Lone Wolf and Cub set. So I was really enjoyed that one. I thought it was fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to delving into the actual Lone Wolf and Cub franchise with this Criterion box set. Just filling out my Akira Kurosawa collection with Kagemusha. Is it Kagemusha? Kagemusha and Dreams. Don't know anything about these movies. I've heard Kagemusha is pretty decent, but yeah, don't know much about these films, but I'm looking forward to checking them out. The Thin Red Line and the 50s The Blob. Yeah, so a very modest Criterion collection. So that is it, guys. That is basically the gist of my collection, how it's changed. I've bulked up a lot of labels that I enjoy. The one label that I haven't really bulked up this year mostly is Arrow, because there's not been much that I really wanted to pick up, unfortunately. Let me know what you think of how my collection's grown. Are there titles in here that you would have picked up over the last 12 months? Let me know how your collection has evolved over the last 12 months in the comments down below. And of course, guys, I'll see you next time, I suppose. Bye.